Hi and welcome everyone. This is Lavender Sky Panther. Today is Wednesday, September 15th, 2021, and today's topic is called Australian and SoFlo skies. It's a collection of images and sky observations happening early September through September 10th, 2021, and it includes another exciting component of the show called the Australian SkyFiles. This time part 5 are back. So I'd like to extend a huge thanks to YowieGrrrowlz of Eastern Australia for providing some incredible footage for us, some photos for us to take a look at today from Eastern Australia. So let's get into the show today, and before I do, I'd like to say good day, osio, how, buongiorno, guten tag, kia ora, jambo, kedu, buenos dias, bonjour, ni hao, dzień dobry, konnichiwa, dobrohonia, annyeonghaseyo, potarji, dobry den, aloha winala, kalimera, guten dag, and good day. And today's welcome and warm greetings page is just including some various tumbled natural stones and crystals I received recently. So I have them listed here. I'll leave them, for you to go through. Actually, I'll just go ahead and call a few out in case people are just listening and not looking at the screen, at the slides. So we have some Dalmatian jasper, carnelian, red jasper, aventurine, amethyst, citrine, rose quartz, smoky quartz, milky quartz, blue quartz, or sodalite might be mixed in there. And then I have a mysterious, I think it's nephrite jade, but I'm not sure which one this is. Anyway, let's keep going. So I do have a Words, Wisdom, and Spirit of the Day page again in this show. I hope you can catch actually my other show that I just released, number 115, just ahead of this one. So this is a rare day where I can get these recorded, so I'm doing them back to back. Anyway, I'm going to continue with the theme of, as I mentioned in the previous show, I'm looking at, or not looking at, I've read the Lord of the Rings and also The Hobbit, and now I'm on the Silmarillion, and I'm just drawing some things out from this literature and making some comparisons and just kind of doing whatever moves me to talk about it. As I mentioned in the previous show, this is a time to really look at all information. So whether it's classic literature or movies or whatever else, there's predictive programming in these things. There's secret society coding in these things, going way back. And so even in this series of Lord of the Rings, things like that, even I like to look to Star Wars and that whole thing too. You got to really look and use your little, what I call it, decoder. We are the decoders right now, getting through this time of great deception to kind of figure out, not figure out, but feel it out, what is true and what is not true for each one of us. What resonates within our very being as singing, being in harmony, something that makes sense, and what does not, what feels very dissonant or not good. And that's it. So it's no longer a time to kind of rely on the eyes or stuff that we've traditionally known. We're totally going into this time of feeling things out. And that all to say, like even some of my favorite references, I've got to really look at it, give it an extra look, with the third eye or the inner sense, and not just, what we're seeing on paper. And just to get to the truth to things. And then, as always, hold these truths that we keep for ourselves, hold these beliefs loosely, because we may be given more information or other things to, material to work with in the future that will just totally shift our whole world once again. So leave room to grow. That's just my little tip for the day. Anyway, on this Words, Wisdom, and Spirit of the Day page, I felt compelled to take this one little excerpt from a beautiful scene, actually, from Chapter 6 called Lothlorien, and in it comes into tying into this card that I picked from the Daily Crystal Inspiration deck of the Lapiz Lazuli. And the message of that little crystal for the day is to make a decision. And when I looked at this crystal, if you look to the right, it's really beautiful, actually. It just reminded me of the constellations above, with like a shoreline with little lights below, and maybe, a body of water, below that, reflecting some things. So that did completely remind me of this one scene. And I'm just starting it off with, what did you see? And hang on one second. Okay, I'm back. So I'm just going to read this straight up, this whole page, so bear with me. And I do it too in case people are moving around and not really watching the screen. So here's an excerpt from the book, okay? Just to set it up, it's a dwarf named Gimli and he's noticing something after they've just a whole group of them have escaped from a very perilous situation inside of a mountain in the mines of Moria, and they're basically escaping, almost certain, slaughter if they don't get going. And Gimli is deciding to take a moment, though, and appreciate some gorgeous aspect of nature, kind of a once-in-a-lifetime experience, while they're trying to get out of that bad situation. So anyway, here we go. Less than a mile away and a little below them, for they still stood high up on the west side of the dale, there lay a mere. It was long and oval, shaped like a great spearhead thrust deep into the northern glen, but its southern end was beyond the shadows under the sunlit sky. Yet its waters were dark, a deep blue, like clear evening sky seen from a lamp-lit room. Its face was still and unruffled. About it lay a smooth sward, shelving down on all sides to its bare, unbroken rim. And then we travel a little bit in the book to another excerpt. In places there were ruined works of stone beside the path, and mounds of green topped with slender birches or fir trees sighing in the wind. An eastward bend led them hard by the sward of Miramare, and there, not far from the roadside, stood a single column broken at the top. "That is Durinstone," cried Gimli. "I cannot pass without turning aside for a moment to look at the wonder of the dale." Beside the standing stone, Gimli halted and looked up. It was cracked and weather-worn, and the faint runes upon its side could not be read. "This pillar marks the spot where Durin first looked in the Miramare." "Miramare," said the dwarf. "Let us look ourselves once ere we go." They stooped over the dark water. At first they could see nothing. Then slowly they saw the forms of the encircling mountains mirrored in a profound blue, and the peaks were like plumes of white flame above them. Beyond there was a space of sky. There, like jewels sunk in the deep, shone glinting stars, though sunlight was in the sky above. Of their own stooping forms no shadow could be seen. "Oh, Keledzaram, fair and wonderful," said Gimli. "There lies the crown of Durin till he wakes. Farewell!" He bowed and turned away, and hastened back up the greensward to the road again. "What did you see?" said Pippin to Sam. But Sam was too deep in thought to answer. So I felt compelled to bring this just because when I saw this Lapiz Lazuli, it reminded me of this whole scene of looking into the reflective water. But also just as a beautiful reminder for today to go out and take in the awe and wonder of nature wherever you are, whatever you can, even if it's just a tiny weed growing in the cracks of, if you're just surrounded by a sea of pavement, that one little weed becomes just like a precious gem. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say for today on this, for the spirit of the day. Let's get into the sky observations. So here we go. Welcome, Australia SkyFiles 5. And again, thank you, YowieGrrrowlz, for submitting these beautiful photos. So I'm just putting the title down here as all early September. I'm not sure what time of day or night these were taken. But YowieGrrrowlz is looking off into the distance and sees this, this interesting shape and beautiful color range. So I took that and put some enhancement on it to see what we could see. And already, interesting painted-like movement back in here in the background, interesting color ranges. But also, look at this texture. It's so regularized. You look at this, it's like machine work. And it looks to me like the front or the bow of a craft, like a really slick little number here. And we're looking at the side of it as well. And so, look at this thing. We're going to take a closer look at some of this too. So we get in a little bit tighter. It's going to be a little bit mappy and grainy, bear with me, but you clearly see, look at this, these notches are just so regularized. And even toward here, it looks like the front, like a windshield almost, if you're looking this way toward, again, the bow of this, like, ship. We also have it, like, cutting through some atmosphere because we see some tufted stuff here at the front at the tip. So I just find this really fascinating. And then we're looking at it a little bit later, and here we see some depth and movement to it, and we even see like a second parallel line popping up over here, and it looks like it just kind of cut through, where we see this kind of line and movement. And then, here we go. I changed it up a little bit with some of the tones just to help us look at this in a different way, so we're not just so fixated on the orange, warm tones. And we see something back in here too with a hard edge to it. And then again, look at this. It's a pure form. It's beautiful. It's the only thing that's this bright white, crisp and clear. So I'm calling that cloak and craft for sure. And then here's zooming in a little bit closer. We see it. To me that looks like the back, like looking through to another part of the hull of this thing. But look at this. These are regularized. I mean, that you can't get any more precise, like machine precise than that. So I'm saying that's intelligent design. And I probably should have started off the show to help out anybody who's new. Sorry I didn't give my usual intro. I'm assuming everyone's like back and returning, so do have a look at some of my previous shows to see what I'm talking about if this is mystifying. Anyway, without the intro. Alright, so we're going to keep going, and here's another view here. Very interesting, and once again, with enhancement it gets even more intriguing. So when I put this enhancement on, things that have substance to them do pop out. And as I always say, when I see pure white, especially with crisp edges and stuff popping out in front of a sea of monochromatic color, whether a monochromatic scheme, whether it's grayscale or different colors, that tells me that's an object. And, you can definitely see the difference between this, the sharpness of these edges, compared to something like this. Okay, so to me, that's hands down a cloak and craft, and a beautiful one at that. Pretty slick little ride. We're going to look at it again, just because I can't get enough of this. Look at this. And then we have these little bulbous points, if we really want to get our imagination going, is that metal like machine parts? Or those little heads with people little helmets? That would be amazing. I think it's just part of this craft, but wouldn't that be something? Anyway, let's keep going. Zooming in a little bit more. We're getting a little bit more bitmappy, but I just want to illustrate the front or the bow of this thing, because now we get this groove. We see a clear groove here, shadow and more metallic, machine part. So this whole thing looks like it's like a very beautiful curve that comes around down the bow and then maybe doubles back a little and comes back this way. I don't know. We're just catching the slice of it, like a side view of this thing. And as I mentioned in one of my earlier shows, someone brought to my attention the video game world of Eve. I know for a lot of you that may not be, something new, but for others it will be, especially maybe for the older crowd. Take a look online at the game Eve, or just like a little trailer, YouTube video snippet of it. And you will see all these very sophisticated craft, and a lot of them are shown on a side view of being like wafer thin like this. And of course, they better blend in, with our skies down here by being of that shape. So anyway, to me, this is a hands down. This is a cloaking craft that's not even really cloaking. Look at this, hard lines, the groove, the way it even kind of doubles back like metal. Pretty darn amazing. Anyway, fantastic, YowieGrrrowlz. Thank you so much for sharing this. And then we're going to look yet again at other views here that YowieGrrrowlz captured. We've got this coming down. Look at this straight, these little weird little things coming down. We've got this strange glow coming out from wherever the sun is going down or up, I'm not sure. And then something faint here at A. So I'm going to just examine this a little bit more with some enhancement. I see an object at A, that's white, while everything else has a color to it. When I say white, it's like grayish, but you get the idea. It looks like, it has like a slight curve and an arch here. It goes back, very straight lines. What are these doing then? It's a totally different animal than this. Why? They're in the same vicinity. And we get this, just these different color ranges coming in from this overall sky. Then I'm going to zoom in. Again, it's going to be bitmappy if you're on a big screen. If you're on a handheld device, it probably will still read okay. If you're on a bigger screen, just squint your eyes if you want to see something, see it a little bit better of what I'm talking about. So 8.2, we've got a straight line here with a little bit of shadow to it. And again, it's like this wedge shape, a little bit of a curve here at the front. Looks like something might be coming out of it. What is going on here? I think there's enough to say we've got a story going on with something happening here. There's also something straight happening here. And again, it's just so different in character from whatever was happening off, to the left. Then down here we've got, look at this straight line with shadow to it. So I think there are even more little objects hiding in this fuzz out happening over where the sun is. So let's look here, and hang on one second. Okay, I'm back. So here I just played with the color saturation a little bit, and look at this. We've got this hard edge. Again, looking at a side view, it's like a slice of something, even like what we already saw, floating above. Very hard edge. Looks like it's going to a point in the front. This looks like it too. You know, right here, it looks like the edge of something that we're seeing, the side view of something. And then when we look up here at 8.3, it looks like we've got like almost like two pontoons in the back, you know, and a pointed, pointed shape toward the front. So I know this takes a little more, you know, really looking and examining maybe to see what I'm seeing. But I see these two elements are parallel to each other and look of the same design, consistency, thickness, and all of that. So that's why I think they are both part and connected to something that like peeks out toward the front here. And there might be like an oval shape here. See what you think is going on though. It's very fascinating. And also, there looks like a fuzz out happening in front of some bigger object with some dimension to it, darker object happening beyond. See what you think. Now here's another interesting view, and I love this Australian landscape. It's just so wild and so different from what I have in South Florida. I love it. And so here we have this weird artificial fan-like shape, you know, stretching out, you know, almost seemingly, you know, from like not the ground level, but like really low. And then we have something, you know, looks like it's rocketing off here at A, you know, like its own little bit and fragment that's separate from this. So to me, I've been watching enough of these strange things long enough to know that this is an artificial cloud assembly, and craft do sit and perch on the rims and sometimes shoot out, and you can observe them over time and take a lot of different photos, and you start to see it and put the picture together. Anyway, this is all very fascinating. Also, the movement here, where we've got stuff frayed off at the top, just shows that there's more than meets the eye going on here. And then we see it when we put some enhancement on it, and we've got some interesting, you know, color ranges. Look how this thing is like a point, even like a stick poking out. Really weird. You know, you can't say that this is natural cloud. That's not cumulus or anything that you could like really point at in the books of the past talking about different cloud systems. And then look at this. We get these very straight edges once again. Look how hard those lines are. You know, that just doesn't happen in a natural cloud system, especially when things are going off. That's going off at that angle. That's going off this angle. You know, what the heck? And then 8.12, again, it looks like we've got some type of craft cloaking with like a little vapor trail coming behind it. Let's see if we can see any more. So again, it's going to be bitmappy, but yeah, I clearly see that's a shape with intelligent design to it. You know, it's not a bird, it's not a cloud. You know, that's something of intelligent design. And then we look over here, we've got horizontal lines while we have this thing coming up on angle. Again, doesn't happen in a natural cloud system, it just doesn't. And here, so at A, we've got these doubled, you know, or maybe even more parallel lines that look like they even swirl around a bit. You know, this thing is fascinating. So we're going to look at it with some enhancement, and again, look at these two grooves. You know, that's not a typical cloud. Here we've got this straight edge here, again up in here, and look at the different color signature here. This is like smoky, you know, wafting over this whole thing. Just really weird. Fascinating though. We're going to zoom in a little bit more. See B.2, this is where the smoky stuff is, and these stick-like things popping out. This looks like two prongs, if you follow me. Here's a stick and here's a stick. They're parallel. They're popping up out of this thing. So I'm calling this thing, you know, either if not one big craft, just multiple craft cloaking behind this, what is supposed to be this wedge-shaped cloud. And then again, look at this precision. You look at this groove, parallel lines here swirling around. You know, that's too precise just to be haphazard forming cloud. All right, now we're looking off into another direction. And here we see, if you look at the void, we see almost like an elliptical shape. Look how that curve is perfect right there. And then we get this weird thing effect happening up at A. We've got these parallel lines just doing their own thing randomly here. You know, I say randomly, you know, facetiously. Let's see what's going on with some enhancement. And look at that. Those are too precise just to be haphazard cloud, forming perfect parallel lines. And then this is swirling around this way. And then this is, you know, kind of swirling back this way. And then this is going back yet again. What is going on? It's like crisscrossing ellipses in a void, you know. We're just kind of seeing the outlines of them. I'm not exactly sure what's going on. See what you think. But I know it's some kind of phenomenon that isn't natural to natural cloud systems. And then look at this. I have not actually seen this effect before. Very interesting, like these hair-like things, almost like eyelashes popping up on the eyelid. Really weird. Look at this. So see what you think on this one. I'm at a loss with this little anomaly here. And then again, you know, mixed in with this movement, we have straight lines, you know, coming here in different color signatures. So I'm just going to park it right there, see what all of you think is going on. So anyway, again, thank you, YowieGrrrowlz. Now we're going to go back to the South Florida skies, or SoFlo skies. And I'm kind of going to fly through this one, just because I did put out another show today. I've given a lot of tools over these 116 whatever shows, so just look at some of my previous shows too as a guide to maybe see what I'm looking at. I'm not being lazy here, trying to get out of something, but I may fly through here quicker than usual. Okay, so here we're looking west, and the strange cloud activity, again, cloud in quotes, is saying there's cloak and craft going on. And in this case, this is really bizarre. So we're going to see this element coming here. Looks like a snake head, here, and like a weird little snake body. And then this turns out to look like something snake-like too. And then we have this thing crisscrossing, doing its own thing up here. There's so much strangeness that we'll just jump into the highlight version, or the enhanced photo. Look at this dark looming object back here at 8.1, really dark texture, and it's like crisscrossing this way. And then we've got this thing that looks like this snake movement, below this kind of like this cloaking material. And then this too looks very snake-like. It's all very strange. And later we're going to look to the right. It looks like it's all kind of bursting out of this weird, twisted, vertical, like tornado cloud. It's just really, really bizarre and super, super low, in the atmosphere. So that's further, mysterious about this whole thing. Then we got weird dark shapes back here, backlit, and then we've got this burst of white light while the sunset is supposedly happening all down here. So why are we getting this weird ethereal light, coming out of nowhere? Really, really bizarre, this overall scene. We're going to actually, let me go back, we're going to look at this B element here. I switched the letters up a little bit here. Well, here I kept it the same, but yeah, we're going to look at this. Look at this. This is not a natural forming cloud, whatsoever. And with enhancement, we see it. That's not normal, a normal cloud. And then we have this like straight line, undercurrent happening in there as well. It's just bizarre. Then we're going to look at that, what I thought was like a snake head back on this end of things. And again, what is going on here? We got a perfect curve, perfect curve here. What's this weird texture happening? It's almost like fire and magma. It's just really crazy. Then this looks like its own little craft. Looks very organic, almost like a fish. It's just bizarre. I really don't know what to say about this. I'm not often at a loss of words, but I am this time. What's going on here? Look at the texture. Look at these lines. It's almost like a walnut, the surface of a walnut, but yet the lines also are parallel somehow. What is this? I don't get it. If you get it, let me know in the comment section below. Now we're going to look at the panorama. At the top is the highlight version, the enhanced version. The bottom is just, regular. Original photo, and you just see it. There's just so much movement. Look at this. Looks like it's a part of a bigger cloaking object now, with cloaking material or plasma, wafting over. It looks like a tube-like thing to me. Something strange happening here as well. Here's that white burst of color that I couldn't quite describe what was going on. And look at these things. Look like they're emerging out of this crazy, like, magma-looking thing. And then, yeah, we have this, like, weird things crisscrossing at the top, coming down. What is this? Is this some type of entity up in the sky, and it's doing something down here? I don't know. See, what kind of story do you think is developing here? And here's just another look at it, because I just was so intrigued with this overall scene. I don't see what's happening. To me, I just keep defaulting at, there are these weird, like, organic snake-type things, maybe interdimensionally popping out, and this thing is doing something with them. I don't know. I really don't know. Now we're looking to the right, so this is where those things are coming out of. You see the scale of it? They're popping up out of this whole thing. So look at this. It's like sprouting up from the ground, like a column, and then turning into this massive thing. There was no sound or movement like a tornado. It was just really bizarre. It was just stationary, and this stuff is popping out of it. All right. Now we're going to look to the south of where we were looking, so like to the left, and then I just saw this strange shape, starting to form like a triangular form. If you look at the void in here, something happening off to the side as well. And we just see, look at this, there's a pure imprint of a triangle happening over here. And then I thought, let's zoom in, take a look at this thing. And I have more questions than answers, but that's looking pretty bizarre to me as well. Haven't quite seen this effect, before, out of all the shows I've been doing so far. Hang on one second, once more. Okay, I'm back. So now we're just looking at that like snakehead thing here and here after they seem to quote-unquote dissolve or dissipate, But then we've got this strong movement, like channel coming down here, with this void. Really weird, once again. This thing is still there with the crisscrossed legs. Here we go, things get really defined. I still don't know what this is, though. It's really, really mystifying. And then we get this burst of white here, when we have gold down here and the reds over here. Look at this. This starts to look otherworldly. Is this some kind of interdimensional portal? Actually, look at this. It looks like something flew out. This looks like an egg shape. The more I look, any of these things, the more you look, the more you're going to see. Look at this. This looks like an interdimensional, like phantom-like egg coming in and out that like burst out of here. My goodness. What do you think's going on? I don't know. Anyway, we're going to keep looking at it, though. Look on the right-hand side here again. This interdimensional egg or football or rugby ball shape. Look at that. It looks like it like came out of here. This has just got me all kinds of like mystified. And look at this. This is like breaking off of this now. A lot of movement, a lot of strangeness. High strangeness, as they say. Now we're looking at this. This was that quote-unquote snakehead, and now it looks like it has texture here. What is happening? That's rhetorical. I don't know. Then we're looking at it at a slight angle, just trying to look at it a different way. And here's this thing coming down with those crisscross legs, okay? All I can do is put a question mark. I'm stumped. Totally stumped on this thing. Look at this. What is going on? Again, this was like what I thought was like a snake. Hang on one second. Sorry about that. Okay, so here's like this, excuse me, snake-like thing popping up here, maybe here. I just don't know. This thing has me totally intrigued now, too, at the top. All right, another, view, again, is the day, like the light is starting to wane and go down. So here, look at this thing now. We're going to look at this. Look at this. So we lost all that fiery explosion coming out from over this, like, column thing. And now things are starting to settle down and get darker. But it's still not answering any of my question of what the heck is going on here. And why now do we have like this anchor or spear-like thing shooting out of here maybe? Is this an overall craft now with these two legs look parallel to me? Is this the front? I don't know. This is a real humdinger of a thing. And look at this. This is all blurry and fuzzy, so it looks like something interdimensional can be happening around here with this white, whiter color. Really bizarre. Okay, now we're going to take our attention away from that for a while and look at the southeast. And this started looking weird. Just looked like a wall, very low in the atmosphere. But then something doing its own thing, like growing out this way like coral and this like weird vapor stuff coming down. So I wanted to look at that with some enhancement. And then watch this area, because then later something starts shooting off of it. So once again, I think some of this stuff is just artificial clouds set up so that things can hide in it and cloak in it, and also, like dispatch from it, be shot out. Oh, and pardon, that was a leftover from another slide I didn't erase. Just ignore that. Okay, so here we're zooming in, that little fragment. It's got direction to it, it's got a trajectory. It's blasting out of there. So again, is this just some kind of sensor? Is it a craft? I don't know. But what I find weird is these things. Look at this is symmetrical. These little like weird like pipe-like things, are doing their own thing. They look very rigid. These look like machine parts to me. So we've got a straight line, kind of like a whale tail thing, effect here. And then this looks like, again, like two ends of pipes or something. Same thing here. It's really just, the whole thing's really odd. It's not a typical cloud. All right, now this is looking to the east at a sunrise, and what caught my attention here was this obvious shadow, right, happening here. I have not caught anything like this before in the sunrise. And then we have this lone, weird, very conspicuous, quote-unquote, cloud vertical, okay, right next to where the sun is coming up. So as we know, there's either a blanket of artificial stuff sent in, or this other kind of cloud work right in front of where the sun makes its transition from rising up on the horizon or setting. And in this case, we usually know that there's the natural sun that has its warmer glow, and then at a certain point it transitions into this white solar simulator that then is a bigger glare out and hides the effects of our original sun. So in this case it's a little bit different because I just have this like artificial thing sitting here, and then we get this weird shadow. So it's not the cloud creating the shadow. I wanted you to look to the right. Take a moment here. This is with the enhancement. So this is an object in here. This isn't just a shadow, and we're going to look at that a little more closely. And so here you can see it. So here this like quote unquote cloud is just like moving over, but yet we still have a distinct shadow. And so I'm saying no, it's not a shadow from the cloud. It's something else. It's its own little animal here. We even start to see a straight line and something coming down like this. And then we look one more time, and I know it's a little bit mappy, so again, if you're on a bigger screen, you may have to squint your eyes to see it a little bit better. If you're on a smaller screen, you might be okay. But here I'm saying it's an object with a rimmed opening, or it's an elliptical marking of some kind, or whatever happening around here. But, it's clearly not a shadow happening from that supposed cloud near the supposed sun. That's all I'm going to say. All right, now this is looking north toward the evening. And then we get this weird, thing happening here, and then this weird thing happening up in here. So we're going to look to the right-hand side for the enhanced version. And again, it just doesn't look like a typical cloud. It's got a different color signature, too, than everything else happening around it. It's got this, like, forming a triangular point. And then here we've got, like, a imprint of a triangle beyond, and an echo of it over here, while we have some, like, things radiating out of this. The whole thing is just strange. So not sure what's happening here. But I suspect, once again, cloaking activity is at play. Alright, now this is looking west, and this is the cover slide, from the cover slide, the original. And I just saw these two distinct forms, stand alone toward the west, and they look like they had intelligent design to them. They look like they had some, shadow and some dimension to them. And just, they stood out, obviously. And again, this is extremely low in the atmosphere. This is subtropical to tropical South Florida, so you don't get things forming clouds like this. We're not in a high, cold air altitude situation, and so these definitely should not be forming. I've lived in this area, come and gone, lived around the world, and I've never seen anything like this until like recently. And look at this. This looks like now that we have a darker body. Looks like this is even maybe plasma kind of wafting off the sides of this thing. And over here too, it just looks like it has intelligent design with symmetry. Like this would be the bow of a craft, This would be like the, part where you like control it. And then these looks like little wings happening off to the side. At least that's what I see. I also see, looks like machine part element popping out with reflection coming off of it and whatnot. See what you think though. Okay, now here's another view looking north, and this was just interesting because we have this whole, let's just say baseline of, very different kind of cloud, in quotes, and then this just erupts straight up out of it, very wisp-like and in a very vertical, arced, albeit arced, motion. So something artificial is at play here, and that's all I'll say about that one. See what you think is going on. And then this one just started to look weird, again, very low in the atmosphere, but it started to form like a opening, like if this is the void around the palm tree, and then these are the clouds kind of forming that ring. It's just really strange. So with enhancement, you can see it a little bit better. It's going to be a little bit mappy because it's getting dark and my camera can only do so much. But what's interesting here is, look at these clouds. They've got a reddish tone, whereas these are more yellow, and they're on the same, level altitude. And then this looks like it starts to be an object here at 8.1. We've got a straight line happening below it here. Very strange. So what is this? Is it forming some kind of portal or like jump ring or I don't know what? See what you think. But this looks even weird. This looks like a downturned wedge, It's not a natural cloud form. Anyway, and this too, trailing off here, what's going on here? That just doesn't seem natural. And again, the overall thing is a little choppy. So as I say, the staccato cloud effect, where there could be cloak and craft beyond, just inherently by their presence, creating electromagnetic wave activity or some other kind of wave activity, or doing it intentionally to mask out and cloak, craft that could be up in the sky. Alright, well this is the photo of the day and the close of the show, so thank you for reflecting on things here a little while with me. And this is just another scene from a sunrise that I zoomed in, and it's totally enhanced just to really exaggerate things, but look at these little points, these little dots coming up out of this thing. So I suspect that this is some type of craft, and again, I don't know what it's releasing, or there's like capsules that then release more of this like veiling stuff, or, I don't know, sending something out of here. Again, with some of these things, there could be some very interesting stories if you really open up your mind and imagination to what we're really looking at. All right, well, that's it for now. I wish all of you gorgeous right now and tremendous peace and love wherever you are in the world. Best wishes always. Lavender Sky Panther. Bye.